Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sabha Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Okay. I guess we begin from page 1210, right? Whoosh. So we are seeing the beginning of the chapter 6, in which Lord Krishna describes or prescribes upasana as a means to prepare the mind for self-knowledge. And then on the 14th, on the verse 14, it says, remaining in the vow of brahmacharya with a calm mind, remaining in the vow of brahmacharya with a calm mind without anxiety and restraining the mind, the disciplined one should remain with the mind fixed on me as the supreme goal. So we covered that last week. And it says that brahmacharya there, as we have seen, it goes for someone who is seriously, sincerely, genuinely devoted to this process of spiritual development or elevation and self-knowledge. Such a person develops a calm mind, purifies the mind, disciplines the mind, and only that kind of person is able to fix the mind upon the self as Brahman, the supreme goal. So it's not very clear here if he's pointing out to Saguna or Nirguna Brahman, but we know that ultimately one has to go from Saguna to Nirguna Brahman as one's object of meditation. And then Swamiji, he presents some good psychological hints here and there. We need to purify the mind. The mind holds impressions from past experience and deposits it in the subconscious mind as vasanas or tendencies or predispositions to feel and experience and respond in a certain way. So we covered that last week. And we need to become a karma yogi, bottom line, so that we can understand this relationship with Ishvara. Karma yoga is the ultimate psychology, you understand? Once you understand the relationship between Jivatma and Ishvara, and then psychologically, the Jiva relax and begins developing a contemplative mind. It's pure psychology, So ultimate psychology is when we say that self-knowledge, self-inquiry and self-knowledge is all about psychology as well, because it shifts one's sense of identity from the instrument of experience to the consciousness that operates this body-mind complex. So it is establishment of one's identity. So identity has somewhat to do with with psychology as well, even though psychology is more like the study of the mind and the behavior of the body mind and so on, and then the subconscious material that is somehow operating this conscious mind. So it's more on those lines. Therefore, the best therapy is the Karma Yoga, because it's the ultimate psychological understanding of the position and situation of Jivatma in respect to one's life in Mithya. And the Karma Yoga does what it does for the sake of spiritual growth. As we know, he understood that Ishvara is the karma paladatam, but yet he does not neglect her own responsibility in conforming to Ishvara's principles and laws. Okay, and then he puts out here that I often say that there is no such a thing as non-dual experience. There is no such a thing as non-dual love or anything, Experience and knowledge takes place in duality. Of course, self-knowledge is not a dual knowledge. It's just knowing what you are. The very essence of the absolute subject, which is consciousness. But here he says that this dualistic experience, this duality is everywhere in whatsoever realm in which experience takes place by whatsoever instrument of experience. Wherever there is experiencer and experience in whatsoever loca, we are in duality. So every experience is a dualistic experience. But the purpose suggests by Vedanta, the purpose of experience is the extraction of wisdom. We experience, and then what is wisdom? Okay. So this is how it is. So now I understood this object. And then later on, so now I have to revise my assessment of the nature of that object. So ultimately, wisdom, what we extract from interacting with the field of object, is to understand that the fundamental wisdom that I have to develop is the wisdom that allows me to behave in relationship to the objects in harmony with the Dharma field, with the laws and principles of Ishvara, because I will never know for sure how this mithya, dualistic order of reality is projected and sustained, and I can't understand the laws by which it's sustained and maintained and recycled. So, but I can understand the principles of Dharma. And then I understood that if I don't live in conflict with the environment, I develop a more quiet and contemplative mind. It's common sense. If I don't understand more or less my relationship with my neighbors, I'm going to find myself in conflict, and conflict disturbs the mind. So now we need to understand the relationship in relation to the creator, the apparent creator, that apparent creator's body mind, and the field in which I transact. So the only way is really Karma Yoga is the way by which we can convert just experience that fundamentally is, this I like, this I'm indifferent, and those experiences I love. So I don't care for experience that Punya Papa. I care for extracting knowledge from whatsoever experience. And this is possible by bringing the creator into our life's equation of life, no? So forget the experience, take the wisdom from every experience. That's the point. Brahmacharya relates to someone fully committed to go through this process. And then we begin this upasana as the ultimate relationship. I relate so many things, so many people, so many situations, circumstances. And then I understand that the most fundamental relationship, which never come and never go, is the relationship with God. No? So therefore, I remain focused on my upasana, not only understanding the nature of the Lord, but invoking the grace of the Lord, because I understood that only the Lord is going to provide me with my parabada. There is nobody else. But what's the best way to invoke the grace of the Lord? It's to respond in harmony with the laws and principles of the Lord. I hate when I'm here and then there are, I put my thing in airplane mode, but the WhatsApp message comes through. I have to close, I think, the app altogether. Because of the problems to resolve, and I don't like to remember problems when we were just enjoying our satsang, you know. Life is something really mysterious. I mean, more you resolve problems, more problems come. Ah. Well, sorry, I need to find out a way to avoid this in the future. Okay. And then he says, when you do your pasana, just forget that you are grihastas, forget that you have so many relationships and duties and so on. When you are doing your Vedanta class, forget about all the problems and everything, just leave everything outside. This advice was given in Kaivalya Upanishad. It says, do not be a grihasta at the time of your Vedantic satsanga class or upasana, because even though the word grihasta means the one who remains in the house, still dealing with the world. Generally, it is the other way around. Grihasta literally means the one who remains in the house, but the fact is that the one in whom the house remains, it is not that we are sitting in the house or inside, but the house is sitting inside. So he just throws some Satyamitya logic here. The house is within me, but I'm not in the house, so forget, I'm not a grihasta. I'm not the roles I play in society. Everything is happening in me. So if you remember that on a basic, on moment to moment experience of life, you don't even need vipassana, as we know. Okay. So brahmacharya is to, at least in this context of vipassana, suspend all other relationships, and then once every time you reserve quality time for your pasana within this context. So the Kami Yogi is technically it is a brahmacharya, it is a grihastha, but the invitation here is be a karma yogi, but bringing in the qualities of a brahmacharya, meaning to say, interact with the world of people, place, and objects and situations, knowing that you are dealing with Ishvara manifest as the universe, dedicating your actions and so on. And then you are still playing the roles in society, but you are doing it with a certain quality, as we know, that makes you a yogi. That's karma and yogi. What makes it, what's the difference between karma and yogi? Karmis are those doing actions not convert into a spiritual sadhana. Karma yogis are those doing actions which will convert to a spiritual sadhana. How so? By making every interaction, the interaction with the Lord, seeing the Lord in everything as the miracle of life and so on. And then you are a yogi, while playing your roles. Therefore, accept the roles, the temporary roles and so on, but just see it through and know that the true relationship is with the God within every person, everything, every circumstance of your life. You are relate to God. Therefore, as a karma yogi, you are yogi, and as Upasana, you are a yogi, which is much more than just a grihastha, You are just doing your business, but with that understanding slash attitude or spirit, which allows you to convert your actions into sadhanas. If you have hundreds of roles to play, so this would kind of break your mind if you are fully identified with those roles. So just forget those roles and bring your mind to the Lord, because this verse talks about that. So discipline the mind and bring the mind to me and me alone. You understand? The mind is available for what purpose then? Krishna says, invoke this relationship between you and me. Invoke this relationship, which you do not invoke at all because there is no time. So when he says that you cannot invoke because there is no time, he is just addressing the nirguna aspect of the Lord. So as we know in the Gita, Krishna, many times it shifts between nirguna and saguna. He talks as saguna, sometimes he talks as nirguna. The teaching sometimes refers to upasana in relationship with saguna, but then it resolves saguna into nirguna ishvara. So we need to understand this and not to get into conflicts or contradictions. You fix the mind upon the most fundamental relationship that is all the time there. So we get attached to things and people, especially, that are there today and they're not there tomorrow. Oh no, my husband, my wife. Yeah, but people die. People leave the body. You understand? And you're taking the other to be the body now. So, but there is this relationship with the God. Well, what God? I mean, I don't see any God. Okay, and then you are never going to receive the status of spiritual religious sadhaka. No? If you don't believe in God, if you don't understand God, I'm still relate to that friend of mine who is my doctor, trying to help him, but I realize the most fundamental thing is like he does not believe in God. If you don't believe in God, I mean, the Vedas and Vedanta cannot help you. You are materialistic, somehow masquerade as a spiritual person. You understand? Therefore, never forget the purpose of your life. You are here to bring your mind to dwell upon me, the Lord of this universe, in whatsoever nature your intellect can understand. And what is the goal of Vipassana? Keeping me not only as an object of a meditation, but also as the destination of one's life. Therefore, mumukshu, may you practice meditation. So the verse 15, thus engaging the mind in meditation constantly with a restrained mind, the yogi attains peace, which belongs to me and which culminates in liberation. So first he will say, direct the mind to me and dwell upon me alone. And now he presents from a different angle, address or engage the mind, okay? And the goal is to bring your mind to the Lord. But what happened? The mind is going to rebel. It's going to go back to the world. Thus, engage the mind constantly, bringing the mind to the Lord, or restrain the mind from the objects of the world. Only then you're going to attain peace. And this peace belongs to where? Does not belong in anything of the world. Peace belongs to the Lord. Huh? And it's saguna/nirguna nature. And this knowledge alone will culminate in liberation, which is the knowledge of God. You see, Vedanta always presents these two pathways. You're going to investigate the nature of the self, the atma, or the I, or you're going to investigate the nature of God, whatsoever. Because in the end, what happens with these two concepts? They just come together because the scripture says, Jivatma Paramatma Aikya. It's the same thing, the same nature. No? Tatvamasi. You, Jivatma, you are Paramatma. Therefore, you can go about trying to understand the very Atma that shows up as Aham, or try to, if you have a religious more inclination, try to understand the nature of Saguna gods, which is going to be conducive to understand the nature of Nirguna God. And what is Nirguna God? My very nature. Huh? So thus engage in the meditation constantly with restraint. Constantly means to say what? Whenever possible. Huh? But we always have the possibility of being a Kama Yogi, not only Upasaka, but a Kama Yogi, in which way I can constantly be reminded of the Lord. Once I have established that everything before my eyes is the Lord manifest as the cosmos by the power of Maya, the miracle of life is something that is always before my eyes and my other sense organs. If I learn to appreciate the miracle and the intelligence behind this projection, so, and then I feel grateful. Why? But there is so much pain in this world. Why you're going to feel? Because somehow I love it, and I learn to appreciate it. I see it as a school, an opportunity. I see it as a glass half full, not half empty. And I want to fill up my glass until it's full, whole, and complete. So I have to have this attitude, so that I can constantly be a Kama Yogi. A Kama Yogi is going to restrain the mind from the objects of the world, not by canceling or removing them, but seeing through them. You understand, Mark? We see through them. That's the invitation as a Kama Yoga. Kama Yoga, I find it to be the most sophisticated sadhana before Nididhyasana. The only way you can do it constantly is by either be a Karma Yogi or being a sannyas that is in a cave somewhere, meditating, doing Upasana 24/7. Since we don't like the caves of Tiruvannamalai, there are too many insects. We don't want them to eat our leg if we happen to go into samadhi. So I'm just listening to Lord Krishna when he says, be a Karma Yogi. I will restrain my mind from the world by seeing through the world, seeing the nature of God. Only then I attain peace, which belongs not to the Namarupas that I cannot cancel, but to the essential nature of any Namarupa, which is first pure Sattva Guna, Lord Krishna, the Lord Ishwar, and furthermore, it is Brahman, my very nature, same nature. Only then I attain peace that belongs to the Lord. And this sooner or later will culminate in liberation. Swamiji takes every verse. If Swami Paramarthananda would teach the Gita 5 times in his lifetime, and if you would have the record, you would see that every exposition or unfoldment, the verse would be slightly different, because any verse can give us different directions we can go. You understand? So here there is a word about constantly. Constantly gives an impression of how often, most important, or how long I have to do that. Swamiji got into the consideration of how long, for how long. So we need to see, like, constantly goes beyond how often, because it's all the time, which is not possible as a grihasta, but it's somewhat possible as a karma yogi, So how long and how often, according to one's very karma, prarabdha. Some of us have to do more things, engaged in the world, and then we have no other option but develop the karma yoga spirit. And so how often, what he says here, for how long, he addressed how long. So it depends on each one of us. You see, which means may your thoughts be centered around the Lord, which is better than be thinking of the Lord only. The thoughts, they gravitate around the Lord. The thoughts, even in respect to the object, they gravitate around the Lord, meaning to say, I know that the Lord is the creator and the essential nature of this apparent reality. So the meditator should dwell upon as often as possible, and possibly, if it is a grihasta, develop the spirit of karma yoga, the understanding and spirit. And then Swami talks in terms of what kind of law. So the first stage, a personal God, like a deity. So we are beyond that. This deity's personal God to meditate upon is something that appears in the Vedas, but Vedanta does not bring those. Krishna presents a little bit of that in the Gita, but Vedanta makes a concession to the level of God, the creator, as Ishwara, pure intelligence. You understand? And you need to learn to meditate upon this pure sattva nature of this Saguna Brahman as the creator. So we don't go back to all these deities, which is very common in the Hindu society, Vedic society, although one can play with it. If it's an old vasana, one can play with it, but all the time remembering that the ultimate God here is what? Pure Sattvaguna, pure intelligence. No? Saguna Brahman or Saguna Ishvara, the intelligent cause of this apparent reality. Yeah? The one who gives us the results of our actions, sustains this universe, the apparent universe, by its laws and principles, and brings everything into pralaya when the time is due. So once the person is a little bit more advanced, the person stops this relationship with these personal gods. No, I forgot Deva. What is the expression in Sanskrit for personal gods? Deva.
Ishtadeva.
Yeah, Ishtadeva. Thank you. So once someone is more developed, one is going to transcend these Ishtadevas as objects of Vipassana, because Ishtadeva, they have form and attributes. Yeah? Now you want to come to the formless Saguna Ishvara. What is the formless Saguna Ishvara? It's the most subtle of Ishvara under the influence of the gunas, which is pure Sattvaguna, the formless Ishvara, the formless God. The meditative vision disappears, the Advaita will get converted in Advaita. The Beda, Upasana, or Dhyana gets transformed in Abeda Dhyana. So he jumped right away to the Nididhyasana. But I'm present the three levels from a deity which is characterized by its name, form, and attributes, to Ishvara, the creator, as pure intelligence, the Ishvara system, you understand? Which allows us to develop a unique kind of devotion, which is much different from the devotion we have for my Ishtadeva, because I want only protection, I want my life to be punya to the best possible, and I want favors from Ishvara and so on. So, but when you jump into the Nididhyasana, this Upasana is no longer referred as Upasana, but as Nididhyasana, because I went all through, and then now I understood that there is a Nirguna Brahman, and then I heard that Nirguna Brahman is my very nature. In the beginning, I still struggle, and I keep projecting this Nirguna Brahman, which is my essential nature. I project it on a vast entity called Brahman, the absolute or whatever. But then slowly but surely, I start collapsing that duality and understanding that my Nididhyasana, my meditation now, is upon my very essential nature as Satchitananda. Yeah. And then the duality division is gone. So again, he presenting two levels. I'm presenting three levels. Now the question is, in the 6th chapter, Krishna is talking about which kind of upasana. He says, Eka Rupan, Aneka Rupan. The answer is Krishna is talk about Arupa Dhyana alone. He's talk about the highest form of meditation. How do you know? Do not ask. Krishna himself is clarifying it later. Now he's revealing something very interesting that he's going to reinforce from now on. That the chapter 6 of the Gita, it's all in reference to Nididhyasana, not really Saguna, Ishvara, Upasana. Okay, fundamentally, the entire 6th chapter is dedicated to Nididhyasana, but it is presented in the beginning as a duality, you know, a duality. I and the creator. Yeah, but it's going to become more clear as the Swami unfolds here. He says Krishna will clarify later that the final suggested proposal here is that the sixth chapter is dedicated to meditation upon Nirguna Ishvara. How do I practice this meditation? By develop self-restraint, self-discipline, and avoiding distractions to the best of my ability. Then what will the person get? Because the question is, what will I get? So more the meditation, the more peaceful the mind will be. This is what the verse says. The peace that belongs only to me, in my true nature, or in my apparent nature, is going to pacify the mind as well, big time. So what I get, peace of mind. The fruits of self-knowledge is nothing but shanti, peace of mind. No, it's not much more to that. This moksha thing is just gives peace of mind to the apparent jiva. The mind is the one who has to enjoy the fruits of this knowledge, because the Atma, as we know, is not an experiencing entity. We do what we do because my experienced entity wants to have peace of mind. Right, Mark? I want to enjoy my life without much fears and desires. So what is the source of that peace? It's coming from the Lord. When the peace is coming from the world, I have a big problem. When the peace is coming from the world, the problem is the world is always changing. The peace is going to be something that appears, changes, and disappears. So a good setup reverts to become a mental upset. So whenever a setup becomes upset, then the mind is upset. And that's not a good way to live, relying on the setup to establish an experience of shanti, which is my true nature. Satchitananda is shanti. So if your peace depends on relations in the world, you are going to be in trouble. No question about that. Relations change, as we know. Oh no, I don't relate to anybody. Are you sure? Yeah, no, and not even God, because I'm a modern spiritual seeker. I don't believe in God. So are you sure you're not relate to your physical body and your mind? No? So if you relate to your physical body and the mind as a source of security and stability, the mind and the body are going to fail you again. No? Because the body will die and the mind is going to become weaker and weaker with older age. Permanent peace you get from the association with your permanent true nature. If you associate with the impermanent world, you are never going to find peace. Permanent peace, much less. Permanent peace requires you to be associated with your eternal, permanent, meaning to say, full, whole, and complete nature. But if you want to find peace, I wrote some satsang in Portuguese here because somebody was saying, no, in Mithya, you can be very happy. You don't need to avoid Mithya. You can accept Mithya, and then you can be extremely happy. No? When here Swami is saying that you cannot get peace, permanent peace at all. Either peace will be a fake peace. I mean, fake peace is good because a lot of the time people, what do? They delude themselves. And in order to delude oneself, you have to delude others as well. You have to pretend, put a mask, to pretend that you are blissed out permanently, and your life is really beautiful and so on. So you need to deceive yourself and others. You need to play a fake peace. Real peace comes from the Lord Krishna, the Lord Ishvara, the Lord Brahman, says Krishna Guru. And then Swami talks about, so this meditator will get Jiva Mukti, which will culminate in Videha Mukti. And Videha Mukti is simply defined as freedom from next birth, more rebirth. He is free from samsara chakra, the cycle of more and more and more births. Okay, that's the traditional definition of moksha, freedom from being reborn. No? But when I'm reborn, I don't remember anymore that I am what I am. So I'm doing all this work for nothing, because if I get free, I'm not going to be able to enjoy this sense of freedom in my next life, because the scriptures say that I'm not going to be reborn. And if I'm reborn and I have gained a lot of spiritual punya, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it, because I will not remember that I am me doing this, and later on enjoy the fruits. No? That is the logic. But this logic is a logic based on conviction of identity as the ego, the body, mind, sense complex. And I want this ego to enjoy, future prarabdhas, punyas. No? I don't want moksha because I like to come back to get more punya next birth, in between some punya in some lokas, and then like, I want punya. And then the scripture say, you want punya. Punya does not come without papa. You have to take both. And that was the discussion with this friend of mine. He said, no, I want both. And I think that's the way to go. All the rest is delusion. You understand? No, you want to break this identity with the guy who consumes punya and papa and enjoy yourself as limitless Brahman, which is not an experiencing entity. But if you are too attached to your experiencing entity, you're going to refuse these teachings of Vedanta about moksha as the end of this cycle of more reincarnation. So who does not want to have any more experience in duality? When we are about to leave this physical body and die, most people are still totally attached to the world of objects of desires and fears. And they are ready to pay any price to live another week or month or year, in terrible condition, because the body mind is weak and the compromise and so on. But still, this desire for more duality experience is going to produce another birth. And it's so obvious that that is the source of ignorance, wanting more consumption of punya papa. Attachment to the body mind sense complex. And this attachment, no matter how enlightened you may feel yourself to be, is still a symptom of ignorance that wants me to live forever as an entity, experiencing entity. Here he brings the concept of Jivan Mukta. Mukti is the one who somehow is free from reincarnation. Why? Because one's desire for continuation, desire for more punya papa, desire for more completion, all of this is wow. I just got a WhatsApp message here. My brother sent me a message that his wife left the body his night. I spoke to you guys about her. I have been going there and so on. Okay. he brings the concept of Videha Mukti and Nirvana Paramana, culminating Videha Mukti. So Videha Mukti is just a status of, because what is relevant here is Jiva Mukti. So Jiva Mukti is the one who enjoys the sense of peace and limitlessness and freedom while still incarnated in this birth, which supposedly is the last birth. No? Videha Mukti is a status that does not have much of any value, because it's just a philosophical notion that if you don't come back, we're gonna send you a certificate of Videha Mukti, you know? The 16th verse says that Dhyanayoga is possible neither for one who eats too much nor for one who does not eat at all, neither for one who sleeps too much nor for one who is ever awake, or Arjuna. So now he brings up some other aspects which are going to influence the quality of our dhyana, our upasana. So meditation is possible. It's not possible for one who eats too much, and not possible for one who does not eat at all. So moderation in regards to, like Ramana said, eating, talking, and sleeping. He brings everything in here. He brings eating and sleeping. He does not talk. He does not bring the excess of talking, which is also a problem. So moderation in sleep, in food, and in talk, I'm adding. With the previous verse, Krishna has completed, for the time being, those aspects of preparation for upasana, more antaranga sadhana. He will talk again later, which will come later. So now in this verse and the following verse, Krishna is coming back to Bahiranga sadhana. As I said before, it's not a prepared speech. So here he says that he tries to organize a little bit the verse of the Gita, because sometimes it seems that he's over with one subject and then he comes back later on. He says here he's adding a few more Bahiranga sadhana, which is the general preparations before we go in specific preparations, which is going to take us to the nature of upasana itself, which is coming. He adds a few more Bahiranga sadhana. And what is Bahiranga sadhana? I hope that you do remember those general disciplines that we need to observe during our day-to-day transaction. Krishna is emphasizing moderation in everything as the main discipline. Never get carried away by anything. Never indulge in anything too much. Never get addicted to anything. Now, he brings an old vasana. I did not know. I never considered vasana. He says paper reading. You know, in the old days, there was no internet, but people were addicted to reading the news in the newspaper every day. Anything that becomes addictive, you have to avoid. Not only food and sleep. Nowadays, television watching and internet. He talks about moderation with regard to eating, moderation with regard to activity, sleep. the 3 times of moderation that Krishna talks about in these 2 verses. So the other one, in reference to activities, moderation in regards to doing things. No? And talking is a verbal activity as well. Some people, they can't stop the mouth and the tongue from no? So one who overreacts can never succeed in spirituality, especially in meditation. Overeats, not overreacting is another thing. It is somebody who is not balanced enough and in a way to react with elegance to the stimulus coming from the field. The one who overeats can never succeed in the spirituality, especially in meditation. Overeating is not only not good from the standpoint of health, but from the standpoint of religious rule also. Overeating is considered type of papan. So this is a big one, overeating. I was born as somebody who had such a vasana for overeating as a baby. As a baby, I want to just suck the milk from my mother with no stop. And then as a small child, I was overeating. Thanks God I had a system that did not allow me to put on weight. My metabolism was going to all the time burn everything. And this vasana was the most difficult for me because I think it's a common vasana, but maybe not for everybody. Oh, the food is so good. I have to remember, I have to stop before it's too late. Oh, it's already too late. I should have stopped a few minutes ago. And then when I saw my plate, the eyes are so big, and then I do more than I should. So this is a papan. This vasana is not a good vasana. And why we got this vasana is very interesting. Because in some place, people die of he talks that people die of overeating. And other place, people die of undereating. Some place, people die of overeating, obesity, and some place from malnutrition. So now, see how Bhagwan is work. If he distributes both, can be saved. He says, never go to the extremes of overeating or undereating. So there is a verse, a mantra called Agamarsana, which is part of Mahanarayana Upanishad. Okay, so we need to learn how to deal with our vasanas. Okay, I'm grateful that recently, past 5 years or 10 years, I managed to manage my intake of food, especially because the organism gets more worn out, and then you cannot process as much as before, and you want to enjoy food because you got this vasana for the palate, sense pleasure. So it's very important. There are many things which are not good habits. In this particular line, I chanted yesterday, Papas, and I was overeating. Overeat at the time of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but between also. So he's talking to people who are struggling with this eating probably so common in the USA, because in the USA, not only people like to have 5 snacks a day. A lot of people I know, USA, they do not have a meal twice a day. They just snack all through the day. Not only they eat too often, but they eat a lot of junk food, The mouth is always busy. The digestion system is always busy. If we have nothing to chew, we have chewing gum, and so on. Therefore, here Krishna warns us, do not overeat. But some people, they go to the other extreme and they want not to eat. He gives a hint here, so just get your stomach every day before a meal, divide it in 4 parts. 2/4 should go for food, 1/4 should go for the liquid. No, Swamiji, you should not have liquid with the food. You just keep half of your stomach, or at least 1/3 of your stomach empty. Don't soak too much liquid there, especially if it is how you call in English Cokes and I forgot the name, sodas. They call sodas in the USA. Yeah. Do you drink much sodas, Lynn? Wise girl. Okay, dokie. Let me see. He keeps on talking about that, sleep as well. If you eat too much, a lot of the time you don't sleep well as well. That was one of the most difficult things for me because in the evening, overeating in the evening usually had a very, very high price tag, which is a poor night of sleep. So in the evening, it's very important we eat very little. Moderation is the key, as we know, for everything in life. All vasanas, we need to control them by developing moderation. If the person is not moderate, the person cannot be a spiritual person. The person will not succeed in the spiritual path. Because discipline is everything. If we don't manage to discipline the sense organs, how can you really do upasana and later on nididhyasana? And the eating is a very important moderation. If a person does not follow this discipline of moderation and eating, sleeping, doing things, and talking, the person is not going to be successful. Then Krishna equally warns, do not fast too much as well, which is also against nature. Our system cannot take too much of fasting. That's why you find that all those people who fast too much in the young age, they have all kinds of problems as well, primarily ulcers. I don't know many of these things. My brother is needing my attention. We come to time. I'm going to stop here. It's a very, very intriguing situation. I just oversee some of his message. I was kind of getting prepared to go to join him if she would leave. And the last efforts he did not bear good fruit, and she died. And the intriguing thing is that his son, my nephew, is coming this Friday to do a short vacation here with his girlfriend. And he's telling me not to say anything to him, not to spoil his vacation. So I need to discuss this with him as well. And if I have to stay here, not to spoil his vacation, so it means I won't be there for the how you say, the ceremony of goodbye. Again, a good reminder, anything that's born must go. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. We meet again this coming Monday with Mandukya. Okie dokie.
Thank you,
Thank
Ananda.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can be flexible if you decide to go.
Of course.
Of course.
I mean, I don't do it professionally, so when I can't, I can't. But if I have to stay here, I'm going to miss how you say when a person dies, it's the
Memorial.
memorial or something like that. If I have to stay here for his son, I won't go. If I don't go now, I don't have any rush to go there, but I will go there more to comfort my brother if he needs. I think he will need.
Yeah.
Okay.
He may not be thinking clearly right now.
Yeah. That's why I want to talk to him, because he seems to be wanting to talk now.
Yeah.
Much love. Namaste.
Much.
Meu sentimento, Daiane. De bom.
Obrigado.